Hi, it's Carrie, and today I am going to do a brief discussion and then a meditation on the third eye, which is the chakra located right between your eyebrows, and I've been thinking about this, and a few weeks ago, when I was much younger, I had the vision to see spirits, to see energy, to you know see and hear, and due to being frightened, not knowing what it was, I also remember at that time when I was younger, remembering that I was like, I don't want to see any more of this. And, your guardian angels, your spirit team, God, source comes in, and, they are listening. And it was just something I couldn't process. So I lost that ability to see energy as I was able to as a child. And that brought up some other things about your vision and seeing. And, for one, I've learned that to be very careful about your wording on, when you're a child and, you speak something out of fear and you're like, oh my God, please, God, please, I don't want to see this anymore. It's like they're listening, and they're listening to your emotional body, you're listening to your spirit body, they're listening to to everything that you are putting out. And sometimes they will interpret that in a way that is the best for your highest self. And I realized at that time, my guides, my angels, knew that it was too much for me to comprehend, but I was given that gift to be able to see at that time. So it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've been working on my path, and I've been really being very aware and working on my spiritual path and my spiritual growth. And I listened to, it was a shaman, and she was talking about, when sometimes spirit knows that you are afraid, and you may ask for something, but they are going to determine what is best for your spiritual growth at that time. And it was mentioned to, when I went into my meditation, to acknowledge my fear, to put that out there, and so this is how it went for me, is my guardians, my enlightened spiritual guide of sight, and I am afraid. I'm afraid to see. I still have a residual fear from my childhood, and so I am acknowledging at this point. But I'm having a hard time getting past that samskara. Having a hard time getting past that block in my emotional body, but in my spiritual body and my highest self, I am ready to see now. And so it's almost like you're putting out that you do have this fear, and you're acknowledging it, and you do know that it's a past wound, or it's a past blockage, but you're also acknowledging to the universe that you are ready, and you want to speak beyond that blockage, you want to speak beyond that fear. So that is what I've done, and along with some energy work, some pretty intense spiritual work with Kundalini and raising my energy. And I believe with that meditation and multiple meditations on the same theme, my sight is starting to restore. And another twist in the path is what I asked for as far as being able to see, with my eyes. To me, it was like, I want to see spirits again. Sometimes your guardian or your spirit guides, or whoever may not manifest that in the way that you are expecting. Another thing, letting go of expectations. So when you're asking the universe for, this ability, remember that, be aware that it may not appear or show up in the way that you had intended, because it may not be what you're ready for, or what you need in order to have that growth. So what have I seen? So some epiphanies I've had, talked to a friend yesterday, it's like, when you're in this, your spiritual community, just like any community, you're dealing with a whole bunch of energies and a whole bunch of people that are different levels in their journey. And, their gifts may be different than yours, and they may gravitate towards some healing modality that you don't know much about. And some of those healers, they intellectualize the process. So maybe they know some verbiage that you don't know. They know some vocabulary. They know some Sanskrit. They know some, this and that and this and that. And maybe you're showing up to these spiritual, meetings, or, this could be anything in your life. It could be to, a new book club, it doesn't matter. You go in, and you're like, oh my gosh, do I belong here? I don't know as much as they do. I don't know these words that they're talking about. I don't, and maybe you start to feel diminished, or you start to feel unseen. Or maybe you should not be there because, you're not being seen as, one of them or whatever. Now, the beautiful thing about, our own personal journeys and our path is they're not the same as someone else who may be into, astrology, or they may be into past lives and things like that. And that's okay, because that's what sparked for them. That is, that's what they perceive, and that is what is helping them on their journey. And if you can see it as, they're an adjunct to your journey, and what you have to give, may not have tons of words and, some tons of these ways to, authenticate that you are, you, best words, know what you're talking about or whatever. And also sometimes it doesn't matter. What is energy? It's like, yeah, there are words, and there are concepts, and there are calculations, and there, all these things. But energy is a living, breathing, multiplying, moving thing within all of us to access. And we don't always access it the same. And that's a beautiful thing. And, that is, it was a wonderful conversation that I had with this other healer, and he's so good at what he does. And it's just like I gravitate to him in his authenticity, and he makes it accessible to me, because sometimes he's not throwing out words that I can't I can't understand. And therefore it comes to me because of his authenticity, and, I'm not overwhelmed by all the verbiage. So, that's just one take on that. Another one is showing up. Have you ever, and I was this person, so I'm just going to admit to it now, shown up to a party or shown up to a gathering, and you don't know, kind of you wanted to go, kind of you didn't, but it's just a place to go and, to be seen, or, it wasn't, it was more an obligation to some story you have in your head to fit in somewhere, whatever. So when I was younger, let's say like even 10 years ago, I walk into a room and I am, talking to everybody. I am, maybe even louder than other people. I am just, maybe flashy dress. Maybe, who knows? And now, for one, I look at those things where, I was showing up to be seen. Because I wasn't necessarily taking in, I was more giving out. What did I leave with, from something like that? Maybe I left on, oh my God, was I too loud? Oh my God, what was even going on? Who did I talk to? And I realized that because I wasn't just showing up, with my heart, with, there's some spark in me that I had to go to this event. More I was being, drawn to this for my soul journey, for my path. And so it's a big difference between, when you show up to be seen and when you're just showing up. When I've also been the kind of person who, it's like, I have an idea, I have a business idea, I do it, and I'm like, almost aggressively doing it. Gemini, who knows what it is in me, but it's always been me. And I have a lot of samskaras and stories and from my past that I do understand where a lot of that's coming from. But what I've noticed now, so with those things, I'm kind of just showing it to be seen, and I could tell you all of the countless businesses, but were they in my heart center? Maybe not. How I know what I'm doing now is more geared towards my journey, my heart center, is what I've noticed is I'm not rushing to it. It's not a race. I'm not, like if I don't show up right now, I'm not going to be seen. I'm going to get left behind. And that's a huge shift for me. Why everything else that is just kind of like, oh, this is an idea, this which I hold very sacredly in my heart, I'm tending to pull back. It's kind of like, what is happening here? And what I've noticed is that it's not now about doing this to be seen. I don't want to go show up to something and feel like I have to fit in. You know what? It's more like I'm pulling back because it's not necessarily about that. I'm holding it here in my sacred space. I'm holding it, and I'm holding space for it, and I'm holding space for myself and my personal growth and my journey with it, instead of like, oh, I've got this great stuff and take it out to the world. It's not, sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's like when you pull back a little bit, you start to see more, and the journey becomes a little bit more apparent. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with you today about, the third eye and maybe the perception of sight. And, so instead of seeing ghosts again, I'm seeing situations. I'm seeing things right in front of me that I might have seen in another way before, but now I'm seeing it with different eyes. So maybe my my meditations to regain my sight has come back in another way that was more nurturing to my path, instead of whatever else is going on around me. So I'm going to cut this so I'm not talking for another 30 minutes. And next I will show you a little meditation that I do to increase that prana, that life force, that energy just around my third eye. So thank you so much for listening to me talk some things that just are so important in my heart, and sometimes I just feel like I need to share. And have a great day, and I see you. Thank you.